The first thing Michael noticed that morning wasn't the skyline of the city glittering under the early sun, nor the soft hum of his luxury penthouse. It was a small envelope resting on the mahogany dining table, tucked neatly beside his untouched cup of coffee. He frowned. He didn't remember ordering anything, and certainly nobody dared leave anything in his apartment without permission. He picked it up, feeling the weight of simplicity against the starkness of his meticulously organized life. The envelope was cream-colored, slightly worn at the edges, and had a childlike handwriting scrawled across it, "To someone who needs a smile." Michael, the CEO of a multi-million-dollar corporation, was a man used to control. Every decision he made, every conversation he had was calculated, precise. Yet there was an emptiness in his eyes that not even the most luxurious lifestyle could fill. He had money, influence, and power, but no family, no warmth, no one who truly knew him beyond the boardroom. He hesitated before tearing open the envelope, expecting perhaps a misdelivered bill, a marketing pitch, or worse, an advertisement. Inside was a birthday card. The front had a childish drawing of a sun smiling over a house. Inside, in shaky handwriting, were the words, "Happy birthday, I hope your day is full of laughter and kindness. Thank you for letting me work for you. You make my days brighter, even when you don't know it." The signature was simple, Layla. Michael's hand froze. Leela was his nanny, not the glamorous, highly trained type that wealthy CEOs hired. Leela was a small woman with quiet strength who had worked in his home for years, caring for the office pets he sometimes whimsically kept and occasionally helping with small domestic details. She never complained, never asked for raises she didn't deserve, and always carried a warmth that seemed to fill the silent spaces in his apartment. For a moment, Michael's mind raced. A birthday card. He didn't celebrate birthdays anymore. Not since his parents had passed away in a car accident when he was 19. Not since the failed marriage that ended before it even truly began. Not since the realization that he had built a life of success and left love far behind. And yet, here was this tiny gesture, this fragile note, demanding that he feel again. He sank into the leather chair by the window, card in hand, staring at the city below. For the first time in years, he felt an ache, not of desire, but of longing. A longing for something he had lost long ago, something simple, connection. Leela had reminded him, without even realizing it, that there were still threads of humanity stretching out to him, waiting to be acknowledged. It wasn't just a card, it was hope wrapped in paper. Over the next few days, Michael found himself noticing Leela in ways he hadn't before. The careful way she polished the floors, the soft hum she carried while she dusted the bookshelves, the way she always remembered the small details about his life, though he never asked her to. There was a dignity in her labor that contrasted sharply with the emptiness of his own achievements. She didn't want applause, she didn't want to impress anyone, and yet she left a mark that was far deeper than any corporate accolade ever could. One evening he made a decision. He called her into the office, not the formal corporate office, but the private study in his home where she often tidied the shelves and ran errands for him. "Leela," he said, his voice uncharacteristically hesitant, "I want to do something for you, something big." She blinked, surprised. "Sir, I don't need anything." "No," he insisted, leaning forward. "You've spent years caring for this home, caring for everyone around you quietly. I want to give you a chance to care for yourself too. Tell me what your dream is and I'll help you make it happen." At first, Leela laughed softly, shaking her head. Dreams weren't for people like her, she said. Dreams were for those with education, opportunity, luck. She had lived a life of giving, of serving, and never of taking. But Michael wouldn't let her dismiss herself. Slowly, hesitantly, she shared a dream she had hidden even from herself. A small bakery, a place filled with warmth, where people could gather, share stories, and taste the simple joy of fresh bread. Michael's heart ached with admiration. In her modesty, she had always been extraordinary. And suddenly, he realized that the very act of believing in her could rewrite the course of both their lives. The journey was not simple. There were challenges, of course. They scouted locations, discussed finances, and navigated the bureaucracy of permits. Leela, accustomed to quiet routines, was overwhelmed by the chaos of business planning. Michael struggled to step out of his own controlling instincts and truly listen, truly allow Leela to shape her dream. There were arguments, heated debates about what kind of pastries would sell, disagreements over the shop's decor, but through it all something new blossomed: trust, mutual respect, and a growing sense of family, the one he had long abandoned and the one Leela had always hoped for. Opening day arrived on a crisp autumn morning. The bakery was modest but radiant, filled with the smell of freshly baked bread and the laughter of neighbors who had come out to support it. Michael watched from the corner, smiling as Leela greeted every customer with warmth that could melt stone. There was pride in her eyes, but more than that, there was joy. Real joy, the kind that money could never buy, the kind that changed lives quietly but forever. He handed her a small card, similar to the one she had left for him months ago. On it, he wrote, "Thank you for teaching me that kindness matters. Today, the world is brighter because of you." Tears welled up in her eyes. She realized in that moment that life was no longer about enduring or surviving. It was about giving, receiving, and believing in the goodness of others. And Michael realized that wealth without connection was nothing. He had found a kind of richness he had never known, the richness of touching a life, of making a difference, of truly caring. In the weeks that followed, the bakery became a community hub. People came not just for bread, but for the love that infused every corner. Michael, once lonely and cold, discovered a life where success was measured not by numbers, but by smiles, laughter, and shared stories. He visited often, not as a CEO observing a business venture, but as a friend, as someone whose life had been transformed by a single act of kindness. And every time he saw Leela, he remembered that morning, the simple card on the table, and the power of small gestures. That one tiny act had changed everything. It had shown him that it was never too late to believe in people, in dreams, or in the goodness that exists quietly, patiently, in the hearts of those around us. So if you are watching this story and feel inspired, remember this: never underestimate the power of a kind word, a gentle gesture, or a small act of recognition. You might just change someone's life, and in the process, transform your own. If this story touched your heart, leave a comment below and share how a simple act of kindness has impacted your life. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Be Kind Souls, because kindness is never wasted, and every heart it touches is a story waiting to be written.